Well, let's start the show by bringing to you a quote from Warren Bennis, a leadership consultant. Well, he's passed on since, but then some of his quotes are still relevant today. Well, we want to show leadership on the show, and so we're starting the show by telling you that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. I want to tell you that some of the best programming for the morning on TV you can get right here. And we also want to welcome you back from the weekend. We know that it's been raining not only in the capital, Accra, but in other parts of the country, and some of you have been really under those flood waters. Kojo Yankson is one of those, like me, as a consumer of electricity who has had some power cuts over the period. Good morning to you, Kojo.
Good morning to you, Daddy Roro, and you couldn't have said it better. Yes, some power cuts over the period.
Yeah. Still on. I don't know whether you have lights. No, I don't.
Well, for a period yesterday I didn't, but
okay.
I do now. And I'll tell you this, as a consumer, the experience is now getting a bit confusing. We were told there would be some power cuts over the weekend. Those didn't happen. And then we heard there's not going to be any load shedding from Gridco. So I'm wondering, how are they going to manage it? We were told when they were, switching to gas at a trouble, it was definitely going to cause some power cuts. Have they suddenly found capacity from somewhere? Is there power coming from somewhere to make up the shortfall? We'd love to understand that too. But anyway, I'm glad I was able to iron my shirt, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it goes for all of us as well. So it shows that we're not alone. We'll bring you the latest news headlines. We'll bring you more news as we review the newspapers and look at some of the best online portals we have. Our foremost one is myjoyonline.com. And then we'll look at some routes getting to Accra, especially for those of you who have had some receding flood waters as you experience the rain over the last 6 or if not about 8 hours. And so we'll do the traffic watch segment. It's as always brought to you by trafficwatch.com.gh or traffic.com.gh.
Yes, indeed. Now, later on the show, we'll bring you the usuals, the newspaper review, sports, and of course, at the end of it all, we'll cap it with some entertainment. And don't forget, in the middle of it, your daily eye tip will come your way, just to help you keep healthy with those two balls that show the world to you, right? So it's brought to us by Dr. Agarwal's Eye Clinic. So make sure you stay tuned for it today. A rather interesting one involving lemons.
Yeah, definitely. And they're telling us that we should add a dash of lemon in our life. And I know many of us have been using lemons these days. That's good for the eye, we're told. But let's mainstream our discussions. And today we're having some great updates from academia. And of course, we'll also focus on the on-pass on the campus of the University of Education, Winneba. We know that school reopens today, and academic work is also expected to begin tomorrow, Tuesday, April 8, following a directive by the University of Education, Winneba Governing Council. Already, the council has also ordered that SAG lecturers be given their positions back. What do they think about it, especially those who are involved in the on-pass or those who have been reinstated? So we want to know. We'd also want to ask some deeper conversations. And aside all that, and speaking about academic freedom and etc., we'll be having Dr. Clement Park, who is a member of UTAC himself, a former lecturer, but currently a member of Parliament's Committee on Education. He's a deputy ranking member and also a member of Parliament as well for Busa South. Also in the studio will be Dr. Ketri Duku, is the chapter president of UTAC for UEW. Makes good sense for us to speak to some of the great players who are involved in the whole on-pass.
Right, now the second part of the Hotline documentary, Born Too Soon, we'll be looking at possible reasons why people, especially the Upper West region, have a negative belief about preterm babies. We're going to learn a bit about the cultural nuances, and we'll hear about premature babies who survived and look for solutions to the problems discussed. We'll be talking to Awal Ahmed. He's the Executive Director of Rural Initiative for Self-Empowerment. That's an NGO helping preterm babies and mothers who have been stigmatized. Also, a representative from UNICEF will be right here for this discussion. And don't forget, there is a rather interesting, let's call it revelation over the weekend, of a draft bill proposed by government to change the way in which public universities are managed. In addition to seeking to make all universities equal, you know, technical universities and other public universities equal, it also wants to set a fixed number of council members for every university, 9 members, and almost all of those members are to be nominated by the president. So obviously it's sparking quite a bit of controversy, and we'll be discussing that later with our guests when we talk about University of Education, Winneba. Fascinating stuff. Stay tuned for it all.
Well, definitely. And quite some sweeping reforms that government wants to introduce with that bill, Kojo. Yeah. But we'll see how it goes. We'll also be speaking to Professor Apiejetia, who is with the Law Faculty of the University of Ghana, one of the lead professors there. He's the main speaking person on the subject as well. But let's also move on. We're discussing business. The University of Ghana Business School has a Management Day celebration, and we'll give you some great insight into the subject, some great alma mater news from my university as well. Yeah. That's
right. And like I said earlier, we'll wrap it all up with Bex and some entertainment news, proudly sponsored by Awake Purified Drinking Water. So that's the show, and as you can see, it's definitely going to be the best possible start to the best possible week. So stick with us for it all.